Goes on traffic, Cherokee 5735, Whiskey Department 9, number 2. Cessna 202, departing, number 3.
Aviation is such like a unique community. I haven't experienced it anything else. Today, right, you and I met today and like instantly had that aviation background. We met 2 other pilots today. Never met them before, you know, again, through social media, and spent the whole day together talking about aviation and flying and doing some cool stuff. Not a lot of groups, I think, that do that. Like you have that instant bond. Like I know what you went through getting your pilot's license. I know what you went through buying a plane. I understand how difficult it is to rent planes and getting on the schedules and finding time between weather and taking your check ride. So everybody has that understanding, that shared pain background. So definitely a very unique community and some of the best people you could meet. Most of which are very unassuming and just happy to be a part of it. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I mean, Kelly's really is home. You know, everybody up here during the winter is like family. Everybody wants to help each other out. So more times than not during the winter, if someone needs something or someone needs something up here, you know, I'm more than happy to bring it over when I'm on, or when I was at Bowling Green, when I was on my way back from college for the weekend. I could bring stuff over in the 206 for them. You know, I would do food runs. You know, I'd bring stuff over from local restaurants that people could order. And I just did that because, you know, it was just fun for the community and it was something for people to look forward to when, you know, Kelly's is pretty desolate during the winter and all the restaurants closed down. So, you know, I was kind of offering the only out-of-the-box food option, you know. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times, unfortunately, what we hear is pilots that fly for a career aren't really involved in general aviation at all, if any. And my plan is to, you know, really stay involved in general aviation. I'm really, really passionate about that. I think that, you know, it holds a really special place. And obviously, for us living on an island out here, it's always going to be practical for me to be involved in general aviation. It will never make sense for me not to be in it.
Yeah, I've been to Kelly's Island multiple times, and what was really cool is one time I just flew in here on my own, and I get a radio call from some guy in the air, and he's like, "Hey, just park your plane at that house at the end of the runway." I'm like, "Sounds good." So I parked the plane at the end of the runway. He's like, "Hey, let's go in, I'll show you around." It's our buddy Robbie. He happened to live here, and that was my first interaction with Kelly's, and I've been back many times since. Yeah, Robbie and I friendship, we've been friends for a couple months, and obviously aviation helped us to meet. I would have never come to Kelly's Island randomly on a flight, and came down here, and that's how we met. And we've been good friends ever since. We go flying, building hours together, and making our aviation dreams happen. So I ultimately got into aviation because I became a flight attendant for an airline. And while I was there, I thought, how cool would it be to go up front? I was talking to all the pilots and got to know them, and they encouraged me to go out and do it. So I took my first discovery flight and fell in love with it immediately. So now I'm just building hours and got all my certifications and just pumping it out. But general aviation, after I make it to the airlines one day as a pilot, definitely going to keep this little baby and keep flying. I absolutely love it. I love the community and I love the support that general aviation has for anyone who is interested. This right here is Cessna 150L. It's a 1972 model, and I got it because all the planes were currently rented out and I could never get the chance to fly when I wanted to. And so I found this good deal up in Kalamazoo and thought, why not? I'll take some of my savings money out and purchase this beautiful Cessna right here. Absolutely love it. I've probably flown about 200 hours on it so far, and it's definitely a learning curve buying a new plane, or an older plane, but a new plane for me. But it's well worth it, and I absolutely love having the freedom of flying a plane and having a plane at all times. So the great thing about being in general aviation and owning your own plane and having a lot of friends within the community is you get to fly all over the US. So in my aviation journey, I've met so many cool people from all over the US and around the world, but I've flown down to Florida, flown up to Seattle, down to California, all over Ohio, because that's where I'm based right now, and it is always a journey. Something new, you learn something every time you go flying. And you meet great people along the way, because every time, and even if it's a small little airport to a big airport, everyone wants to talk about aviation because it's a passion, it's a lifestyle, and it's a lot of fun at the end of the day.
So I've been flying since I can remember, as a passenger, obviously. A little kid growing up, we'd come visit our family out here in Ohio. I grew up in Connecticut, and every time we're out here, we'd ask grandpa and uncle and aunt to take us flying. So really neat thing to do as a kid is to come out, visit your family at their own airport, own grass strip, and you get a chance to fly, and it was a unique opportunity. I was about 9 years old when my grandmother bought me my first gift certificate for flying lessons. And we used that at Meriden Aviation Services in Meriden, Connecticut. And every Christmas or birthday, that would be her gift to me. So started a logbook back in 1991 and got to be 17. I moved out here for the summer between my junior and senior year in high school. Worked at my uncle and grandfather's construction company and flew as much as I could. Kind of did it all in one shot. So in a month and a half, I was able to get up enough hours and demonstrate enough of the ability to go off and take my private. So I returned to school my senior year in high school with my private pilot's license, and very unique. I know it's being a lot more common now, but at least in my school and without social media, it seemed to be a pretty unique thing. So really grateful for that. Flying down, having to check the weather, being up late the night before checking the weather, going down to the Bahamas was a really, really neat trip, neat experience. First time flying out of the country with general aviation, so understanding the process for customs and everything that had to be done both on the US side and on the Bahamas side. Neat learning experience. I've gotten to share that with others that have wanted to take the trip as well. Beautiful water, beautiful approaches. We went to Abaco, Governor's Harbor, Staniel Cay. Kids got to take a boat trip and swim with pigs and chase iguanas and be chased by iguanas on the beach and do snorkeling and hang out at a sandbar. So got to do a lot of things that maybe we would have done a commercial trip down to the Bahamas someday, but again, an excuse to fly, having the flexibility to do what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. Made it a really memorable trip, and I think that my son and daughter, 10 and 9 at the time, I think it's something that they're going to hopefully remember forever, and hopefully it's something that they can share with their kids someday too, if and when they want to become pilots.
born and raised here on the island, and it was kind of just necessity. My dad, he's a pilot recreationally, and we were living actually at a different house down the runway at the time, and he flies back and forth every day in our Cessna 150 to commute back and forth to work. And eventually, my sister and I stopped going to school here, and when we did that, we ended up flying the 150 back and forth to get to school every day on the mainland with my dad, and that was when I was 8, so that was about when I started to learn to fly. Yeah, I did have an instructor here. His name was Steve Overy. He owns the local helicopter tour company over on Putin Bay, and he did it. He actually didn't charge me anything when he did it, and I started working for him at the helicopter outfit, you know, loading people in the helicopter for tours and stuff like that when I was 15, and yeah, he helped me to get up to the point where I could solo on my 16th birthday. And then after I soloed, there was a kind of a gap in my flight training where I was kind of busy working for him, and I put that before getting my private done. So I actually didn't get my private done until just after I turned 18, and I did that through Griffin Flying Service. So being able to just like take some of my friends up and fly them over to the islands, like it's a whole different world of aviation for them. So that's really exciting to share. I had some friends fly out last week. They work out at Cuyahoga County Airport, and they had never been out to the islands. And they landed here and they were just totally shocked. You know, it was like, this is Ohio? No way, you know, because this is, you know, I agree with a lot of my friends when they're like, this isn't really Ohio. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's a little cooler than normal Ohio.